Today we're breaking down the story of UFC 319 in Chicago. How Khamzat Chimaev stayed undefeated and took the middleweight belt from South Africa's Dricus du Plessis in a fight that had the MMA world buzzing for weeks. First, quick headline for anyone catching up. At UFC 319 on August 16, 2025, Khamzat Chimaev defeated Dricus du Plessis by unanimous decision.
Unanimous decision, and no! Undisputed!
50-44 on all three judges' cards to become the new UFC middleweight champion. Chimaev controlled the fight for more than 21 minutes, scored 12 takedowns, and this is the jaw-dropper that set a UFC record for total strikes. Landed in a single fight with 529 to DDP's 45, and yet only 37 of those were scored as significant. We'll explain that in a minute. Before getting into the details, we need to understand why this fight was so hyped. Dricus du Plessis came in as the champion with a resume that kept growing. He stopped Robert Whittaker at UFC 290, edged Sean Strickland in a bloody split decision to win the belt at UFC 297.
And still the undisputed UFC middleweight champion.
And then beat Israel Adesanya in Perth at UFC 305. That run cemented him as a legit champion, not a one and done. Many observers noted how he kept an active schedule compared to other champs. He wasn't the biggest talker in the game, but when the trash talk started, he could definitely hold his own. And yes, he did get under the skin of big names. Adesanya was visibly emotional during the build-up to their rivalry, and the Strickland pressers turned heated fast. But mainly, DDP was respected for an awkward pressure-heavy style that looks wrong on paper and works great in real fights. On the other side, you had Khamzat Chimaev, the undefeated phenomenon with a wrestling-first, suffocating style, freakish strength, and a history of tearing through people when he actually made it to the cage. Fans have seen him toss seasoned pros around, and the mystique only grew with viral moments. Like that backstage clip where he playfully lifted Daniel Cormier with shocking ease. Even his critics agreed. When he's healthy and gets to the octagon, he's a problem. But that when was a big question. Over the years, he's had illnesses, withdrawals, and famously missed weight at UFC 279, all of which made people wonder if he'd ever put together a consistent, active title run. Still, with wins over names like Kamaru Usman, the ceiling felt limitless. From the first seconds, you could feel the plan. Chimaev shot early and got DDP down almost immediately. Multiple outlets tracking the action reported a takedown within the opening moments of round one.
Nice double leg by Khamzat. Takedown already by Khamzat.
And from there, the story of the fight became clear. Wrestling, pressure, control. Chimaev worked to side control, advanced and trapped DDP's arms more than once in that dreaded crucifix position. For du Plessis, that position is a nightmare. Your arms are pinned, and you're basically stuck wearing short punches or elbows. He pulled out of it a few times, but Chimaev kept finding ways back to it in later rounds. As the rounds went on, the pattern held. Chimaev landed takedowns in the opening minute over and over, and the control time piled up. By the end, the official tally showed 12 takedowns on 17 attempts and about 21 minutes and 40 seconds of control. That's an incredible number and nearly the entire fight spent with Chimaev dictating where things happened. The judges' 50-44 cards reflected that, and media outlets described it as one of the most lopsided five-rounders in recent memory. To be fair, that's also the reason some fans, and even a few fighters, called the main event boring. It was domination, yes, but not the kind of highlight reel domination casual viewers expect. UFC veteran Matt Brown actually came out and said people made similar complaints about legends like GSP or even John Jones. Dominant champions who sometimes chose lower risk control over flashy finishes. The point is, a risk-managed strategy-first approach might be less fan-friendly, but it wins belts and keeps them. That's the trade-off we saw at UFC 319. Still, du Plessis had his moments. He's tough, he stayed calm, and late in the fight he even threatened with a guillotine as Chimaev tired a bit in the fifth. It didn't stick, but it showed he was still dangerous and not mentally broken. Afterward, he gave credit to Chimaev's top control and said he'd be back. That's exactly the attitude you want to hear from a former champ who just had a long reign snapped. Now talking about the aftermath, First, for Chimaev, the big question has always been activity. Fans love the chaos he brings, but his schedule has been irregular. He fought Usman in October 2023 and then didn't compete again until UFC 319, nearly a 2-year gap. The performance in Chicago shows he's still elite even after a long layoff. But the concern is real. Will he fight more often as champ? The good news is he's already being linked to a quick turnaround for UFC 321 in Abu Dhabi in October. Reinier de Ridder, the 2-division champion who crossed over from 1A and just beat Robert Whittaker in Abu Dhabi, has openly asked for the fight and says he's ready to sign for 321. That would be a perfect storyline for the UFC. Chimaev as the new champ, back in the Middle East where his star power is huge, against a high-level grappler who thinks he can match the wrestling. If that gets booked, fans will feel a lot better about the inactive champion concern. For those wondering why the UFC would go with de Ridder so fast, the timing makes sense. He has name value, he just picked up a big win, and style-wise he's an interesting puzzle. Tall, long, and dangerous on the mat. Plus, if the company wants to capitalize on Chimaev's momentum, a title defense 2 months after 319 keeps the buzz rolling and addresses the one fight every 18 months criticism that hangs over him. Let's consider other names in the queue at 185. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez is a smart shout.
Hernandez got it. He's got it. There's the ticket and the counter.
He's quietly put together one of the better streaks in the division, mixing high pace with sneaky submissions and gut-check cardio. Stylistically, he's the kind of fighter who could test Chimaev in scrambles in late rounds. If the UFC wants to reward activity and grit, Hernandez makes sense as a near-term challenger. Caio Borralho and Nassourdine Imavov are another pair to watch, especially because they're scheduled to headline a UFC fight night against each other. Whoever wins there will have a strong argument for a title eliminator, if not a direct title shot depending on how the rest of the division shakes out. Imavov is a slick counter-striker with good takedown defense and range management. Borralho is confident, well-rounded, and has been building momentum. Either one meeting Chimaev creates a classic striker vs. grappler storyline, but with a modern twist because both are more complete than those labels suggest. And yes, you can absolutely keep Sean Strickland in the conversation.
If you cheat on me and I don't find out, so if you're gonna cheat on me, just be good at it.
The build alone sells that fight. Strickland's live mics, Chimaev's intensity press conferences would be electric, and the styles are fascinating. Strickland's jab-first stance-blading defense gave DDP problems. Against Chimaev, his task would be stopping reactive shots, framing well in the clinch, and making it ugly at range. The company knows the back and forth would be marketable. If Strickland lands one big win this fall, the call for Strickland-Chimaev could be too loud to ignore. We should also be honest about a common fan worry after 319. Did Chimaev change his style? Is he going to wrestle hug everyone now that he's champion? I think the fairest answer is this: titles change incentives. When you're trying to get to the belt, you may take more risks to make statements. When you're defending it, winning is everything. Against Duplessis, a tough and experienced champion, Chimaev used the safest path. Takedowns, control, and not giving DDP any wild exchange he could flip into a momentum swing. Legendary champs have done this for years. It might not please everyone every time, but it's part of being a champion. And let's not forget, he still set a record for total strikes. He was active. The shots just weren't significant by the stat definition. Another angle people are talking about is Chimaev's maturity. Earlier in his UFC run, he was known for wild face-offs, constant call-outs, and a smash-everyone attitude. Lately, he still has the fire, but there's a calmer tone too. One reason you'll hear is fatherhood. Since Chimaev is a dad now, he said it changed his outlook. You can see it in how he speaks about his family and his future. It doesn't make him less dangerous, it might make him more focused on the long game, health, schedule, legacy. If that translates into more consistency, the division has a real problem on its hands. So, what's our final read on UFC 319? Number 1, this was domination, not devastation. Chimaev didn't blow the doors off with a highlight reel finish, but he delivered a championship-level, risk-aware, 5-round masterclass in control. Not exciting to everyone? Fair. But undeniably effective, and against a very good champion in Dricus du Plessis, that matters. Number 2, the stats tell the story. 12 takedowns, over 21 minutes of control, a UFC record 529 total strikes, yet only 37 significant. That weird split is the product of a top game that prioritized position and volume over power and damage. If you wanted blood and chaos, you didn't get it. If you wanted to see if Chimaev could manage 5 rounds against an elite champ, You got your answer. Number 3, the division is alive, with De Ridder calling for 321, Hernandez rising, and Imavov versus. Baralho booked there's a clear path to keep the belt moving and the champ active. If Chimaev turns around quickly, it will calm fears about inactivity and could kick off a run that defines this era at 185. And number 4, for DDP, this isn't the end. It's a reset. He has history with the top names, he's proven durable and dangerous, and you can bet he'll chase the rematch. If he tightens the first-minute takedown defense and builds better emergency exits from bottom positions, he'll be a nightmare again for everyone. Who do you think Khamzat Chimaev should fight next? Let us know in the comments below. And subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos like this. Thank you for watching.